Heyo.
Hey there, Patrick. How are you, man?
Oh man, I'm doing okay. Just it's been snowing here for the last few days, and
Seriously.
oh, dude, it's crazy. We this hasn't happened in like probably like 6 years. Like snow this late, and I'm talking like a meter of snow.
Well, that's funny. Seriously, because I
Yeah.
was.
Well, there's people all over. I saw like a bunch of guys on Horizons Unlimited that were stuck in Cappadocia, other dudes that were stuck in Armenia because it's like this whole area has just, all those guys that are like, they read, oh, we can go out like mid-March, and they all started and nobody expected this storm. So everyone's fucked.
That can definitely be a surprise while you're riding.
Right?
If you don't expect. It's funny because I was checking a couple of days ago among my photograph, my memories from last year, and it was showing that it was snowing here at that time. While these days is sunny. It's like 17, 18 degrees outside, super sunny. So it's perfect temperature,
it's
great weather.
it's crazy, man. I think that like when it comes to like tours here, I'll be able to do them like all the way to like the beginning of November, maybe, because like the later the snow comes, the more the longer. Well, it's supposed to work like that, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's theory. With the global, the climate changes and everything, you can't really predict anything nowadays, right?
Dude, you're telling me, man. That's why, like, for some of these tours, I'm like thinking, man, are these people going to bring over like rain gear, or should I just go ahead and like get some and throw it in the back of the van because nobody wants to be miserable and cold,
Yeah, yeah,
Just
definitely.
spend the money and have that stuff available.
That's
So,
not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea, actually.
yeah.
With Extreme Bike Tours, we actually provide a list of clothing that everyone should bring.
And how often do they bring it?
Well, they do. Usually, they do, especially
Really?
when we're going on the most dramatic areas like Himalayas or something. They do bring their own clothing, their own jackets and stuff. But
Man, I was just checking out your website, dude. That thing you got that thing dialed in, bro.
we are rebuilding it, actually. We are rebuilding it, but it's gonna be much better. It's gonna be much
Really?
cleaner, much easier to navigate. Yeah, it's already, this website already has like 4 years, and it's already time to update it.
Yeah.
It's a bit slow. Sometimes there is too much information that you can avoid to add. It's a lot of things which is all about user experience, right? Like when people visit your website, they want to find the information that they're
Right.
looking for, not wasting time. But
I did
but
my
thank you.
website. I did my website by myself using the Wix program.
Wix, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
saw
it's
that,
kind of
saw that.
pricey for what it is, but for a guy that doesn't know a lot about websites, like it was the best that I could do.
Yeah,
So,
it's a website builder, and it's easy to use when you're not in the web industry. If you're not a web developer or a marketer or someone that already knows a bit about websites, then
yeah.
Wix or Squarespace, they are
Yeah.
easy. They are limited, of course, because you can't do certain customization work. But if you use a website as your online business card, then it's more than enough. It's
More than enough. Yeah, I was
yeah,
watching you guys' video on Mongolia with all the drone shots and everything, and I was like,
that's
man,
cool.
I gotta get back there, dude. Oh,
I didn't have the chance to go on tour with the guys yet, except for Sri Lanka when we started. Um, but there were a couple of tours where I was supposed to go, but the pandemic came.
right.
So everything got postponed. Now
Everything
I
stopped
moved
for
to
2 years.
Switzerland. Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy.
Yeah, we've been surviving on crumbs for like 2 years, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, me and Ben were supposed to go to Japan for a recce
Oh
tour.
shit!
Yeah,
Nice.
and I'm telling you this thing now. I'm already recording. I'm already recording. This is
Yeah,
going to
whatever.
go. This is going to go on the video. But we never said to anyone yet because we were keeping the surprise. And me and Ben, we arranged this. Like we met these people. They have like 80 Ducati official Ducati stores in Japan. They have a motorcycle touring company, and we met them because we were looking for a partner in Japan, and the CEO was in Sri Lanka at the time. So they came to the Shack, the beach restaurant that Ben and John owns. Well, we had like a meeting there. We had some drinks and some sushi. And then when they went back, they invited us for a free tour just as a recce tour, so that we could check how it is and then propose it to our customer. I was so looking forward for that.
Man, dude, I love Japan, man. I took that ferry from Vladivostok to Sakai Minato, and I rode my Kawasaki Versys. Of course, all those guys in Japan, they're all on Harleys. So when they see American on a Japanese Kawasaki, they're like, we don't understand.
What are you doing?
What are you doing? And like, I stopped by this chopper shop, and on my helmet, they said, what's the name of your moto? And I said, the Red Devil. And they were like, Akaya Kuma, which is like the red demon in Japanese. And he put a big Chinese kanji on the side of my helmet, you know? So I was feeling pretty cool.
Yeah, they do have their own culture, right? So I never been to Japan, but I'm a fan. You know, I watch movies. I love the food. I love the culture. You know,
it was weird being over there solo, because like I would literally just walk into a restaurant and just point to something on the menu and just shake my head and not even know what it was.
They don't speak much English, right? Like,
I mean, outside of Tokyo, I rode all the way up to the top of Japan, not Hokkaido, the big island, but all the way to the top. And then I rode all the way down to the very bottom. And that took like, I don't know, like 3 or 4 weeks, but it was like every day riding like 12 hours a day, you know?
Oh, wow. But the roads are fantastic there.
Oh man, amazing. And nobody even bothered me. Like, I was breaking the speed limit and doing all sorts of stuff. I was probably, you can't, I don't know what the signs say. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay. But now that you mentioned that, have you watched the movie Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift?
Oh yeah, of course.
And there's at a certain point, he starts to speed up, and the guy, the American guy, is concerned because saying like, okay, the police is there and you're speeding up, and the other guy says like, they won't reach us, so they won't even bother. That's why they let me go. that was funny.
Yeah, I showed up at like the crazy drift track when I was there. And there was all people from all over the world that like specifically go to that one track just for drifting.
Yeah,
I didn't even know about it. I just saw a bunch of cool cars. I was like, hey guys, what's going on? And they're like, oh, you're not here for the drift racing? I was like, no.
just like in the movie. Must be amazing. Must be amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. So how about we get to it? So just so you know, this is my very first interview that I'm doing. So thank you for accepting.
Oh man.
The truth is like I'm so busy running after work, and we got a few members of the team. There is a guy, Kian, from Ireland, and he lives in Bali. Actually, he is our social media manager, community manager, and he will be basically handling most of the interviews. But since I'm the founder of Rev and Travel, I thought I should also put my face out from time to time. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do a couple of interviews myself, you know, and take the opportunity again to show my face too. So what I was saying, like, why don't we start like about yourself? So I sent you a list of questions I was thinking about, and then, like I said, this is a chat, so we go with the flow. It's my first time as well, so
yeah. I looked over some of the questions, but I didn't want to write anything down because I want it to come naturally.
Absolutely. I just wrote down a few questions just because I think those are interesting questions about Georgia, of course, about yourself, etc. But again, it's a friendly conversation that we are recording, and then we'll put on our social media and website. So let's go with the flow. But how about we start out with an introduction about yourself? So where you from? Where have you been? And how did you end up in Georgia?
I've been to some of the same places as you. I didn't know that that you did Prudhoe Bay down to the tip of South America. I was reading your thing. I was like, oh wow, this guy's been there too.
I didn't do that. Why did you read that?
You didn't do that? I thought I read that somewhere. Huh?
Really? No.
Yeah.
To be honest, to be frank, I haven't traveled that much, and I haven't ridden that much. I started only when I always had a big dream to do I had a big dream to do a couple of big rides from South India to Nepal, and then from Alaska to Patagonia.
Okay.
And
so those are in the works.
I was dreaming of them. And then for some reason, I met John and Ben and started to work with them. So my passion for motorcycles and touring just kept increasing. Right. But I didn't have yet the chance to do much of what I want to do. But sorry, man. Let's get back to you.
yeah. Sorry. Well, I was born in Panama, Central America, and I started riding motorcycles when I was about 5 years old. My earliest memory is my dad sitting me on a motorcycle tank and bombing around the neighborhood. And so I started racing dirt bikes when I was like 6 or 7 with my twin brother down in Panama. And ever since then, that's all I've ever really cared about. Getting my homework finished and getting on the motorcycle. Like down in Panama, you can just ride wherever you want, like around their neighborhood. There are no rules. And then finally we moved up to the States when I was like 12 or 13. And you got to like belong to a track membership, and it's this and it's that. And it kind of took away that freedom from me. But shortly thereafter, I got a little 1989 Honda Hawk, single-sided swing arm, fun little street bike. And I started messing around with that and riding, and I started working on boats. And when I wasn't working on the boats, I was always on the bike and trying to go on adventures around the US or whatever. And man, finally, I got so sick and tired of working on boats that one day I just said, screw it. And I called my company. I'd seen some people that had ridden to Panama back to home from America. And I said, man, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it solo. So I just called the company. I was like, hey, I need 90 days off or 60 days off or something. And they're like, yeah, that's not going to happen. I'm like, I ain't asking. And
tell you.
yeah. This is already decided. You know what I mean? Like, I'll leave everything, jobs, houses, girlfriends. I don't give a crap. And so I started embarking on that adventure. I got a U-Haul and I trucked my Kawasaki Versys down to the border. I unloaded my bike, and that was the first day of a 450-day adventure that was supposed to last 60 days.
That's a long one.
Yeah. I was like, man, I can't stop now. You start getting momentum, and that took me from Mexico down to Panama, down through all the way to the bottom of South America, the bike to Europe. I flew the bike to Europe. I went to India, because it was too cold in Europe. And so I did a couple months in India and Nepal, back to Europe, all of Europe, Turkey, Oslo, back to Italy, Ireland, Scotland, Estonia, St. Petersburg, across Russia, Mongolia, Siberia to Vladivostok, and then finally stopped in Japan and kept the bike in Japan for a year. I just pulled up to this guy, my good friend Taka with Blue Groove. He owns a Harley shop. And I was like, hey man, I got to leave. I'm broke. It's been 450 days. I don't have anywhere, like, it's too expensive to keep this motorcycle somewhere in Japan. I was, can I leave it with you for a year? And he's like, well, what are your other options? I'm like, going to the airport and leaving the key in it. And he was like, okay, man. I said, I'll see you in 1 year, because like I needed like some paperwork. And the only way to get in Japan without some weird paperwork is if you leave in a year back to Vladivostok. So even though I was leaving Japan, in my mind, I'm already like, I'm going to drive this back to Ireland next year. Like I'm already planning my next trip. And well, I never got to Ireland, but a year later, I worked a little while on boats down in Mexico and up in Alaska. And sure enough, I mean, I spent like 200 days on that boat straight. And then I went straight, and I showed up like day one at the job with like all my motorcycle gear. And they're like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to Japan in a year." And they're like, "You're insane."
But what was that? What kind of boat was that? It's like a private ship, or?
It was like the big ferry that went from Vladivostok and then Korea, and then they dropped you off in Sakai Minato or whatever.
All right.
So a year later, I went back, did Russia, Mongolia, the Pamir Highway, and I came back here to Georgia. You know.
Exactly. And how? Like, what happened? Why did you choose Georgia?
Well, honestly, near Dushanbe, there's this thing called the Tunnel of Death, and right. I might have been a little hungover, partying with some crazy dudes, and they had there was like big gouges in the road, and I guess I was following a car a little bit too closely, and like those guys, they can just go over potholes, but if you're not far enough back, you don't know. Now I always ride to the left of a vehicle right behind their wheel because I know that they're not going to hit a pothole or whatever. Anyway, I went down and I ended up breaking my leg, breaking my foot. I had blood coming out of my ears. My entire helmet was cracked. And but I got the bike fixed, and I made it from Dushanbe all the way to Georgia.
That's funny that you mentioned about your broken bones, blood coming out of your ears, and that took like just half a second. And your first concern was about fixing the bike.
Yeah. They're like, "We need to call an ambulance." I was like, "I'm okay. Call the mechanic."
That's the true rider's feeling, right?
Oh man. Well, you can't. I mean, I've been hit by cars and all sorts of stuff, and you can't let any of that stuff stop the adventure, like.
Of course.
Oh man. So anyway, I got here to Georgia, and I ended up leaving my bike here and flying back home and working some more. And finally, I did the 9-to-5 thing in San Diego for a little while on boats again. And about a year later, I was like, you can't live a normal life after traveling, like your mind's always somewhere else. Like, I got to get back on the road. I got to see more stuff. Like, how can I just do a 9-to-5 job? And, no wonder why people are jumping off of bridges. You know what I mean? That shit sucks. And so I I refinanced my house and basically sold everything I owned. And I went to Poker, Nepal. And I did my very best to help my friend out with one of his touring companies. But like, I couldn't live there, you could only stay there for 180 days. I'm like, well, I want to do this full time. And then the pandemic hit, and I was like, well, what the hell am I going to do? And I started thinking, I was like, I didn't get to explore as much of Georgia as I wanted. And like, I see like an amazing opportunity there. So finally, I was pretty much stuck in Nepal for quarantine, right? And because they got the skies closed and everything. So I waited it out for a year in Nepal. Well, for not a year, but like 100 days until I could leave. And I went straight to Ireland, got on an 89 Transalp, and I came directly here to Georgia. Well, not directly. It took me forever because they wouldn't let me in. And I bombed around Turkey for a couple months, and I made an adventure out of it. And they finally let me in here. And then I brought a bunch of bikes over from the States. And then the house that I refinanced, I sold. And everything else a few things else that I had in America, I got rid of too. So basically just put everything, like just got rid of everything and just focused on getting motorcycles over here. And for a year, I've just been riding around this country like a madman.
So let me recap. So because it's a very interesting story. So you were working in a boat because you are a marine engineer, right? You're maritime. How do you say maritime engineer? If I'm not wrong.
Yeah, marine engineer.
Marine engineer, right? So you were working on a boat, and then at a certain point, you decided, I want to go for a trip that is supposed to endure 60 days.
Mm-hmm.
But that trip, which I guess you went 60 days only in South America or something like that.
Yeah.
Correct?
Mm-hmm.
But that 60 days ended up to become 450 because then you extended and you moved to Europe. And then from Europe, you went all the way to Asia. And then from Asia, you went to the Far East Asia, which is Japan. Correct? Yeah. Obviously, meantime, you got broke in the sense probably you ended up all your funds, and then you got back to work for a year.
Yeah, and then did it again.
Then you went back, you picked your bike, and then you did it again.
Yeah.
And you went to Georgia,
mm-hmm.
And I guess you fell in love with Georgia. You love the place.
Oh man, for the first time in a long time, I finally feel like I'm home, because I never really felt like I was home in America, and like I never really felt I was home in Panama, but like for the first time ever, I feel like this is exactly where I need to be,
But like I completely understand the feeling, like me, born in Italy, but then from Sri Lankan origins, and then I lived a little bit in Italy, a little bit in Sri Lanka, a few years in Germany and Singapore. So I never really found my exact place, so I totally understand. So that's cool. From Georgia, you went to Nepal. You helped your friend with his touring company for a bit, but you couldn't stay there as a permanent resident.
Yeah, I knew, and I wanted something. I wanted to build something. You know what I mean? I knew that I was really lucky to work with my friend, because it gave me like the inside look of like how to run a tour company, and like, because it takes a lot, like you never realize. I mean, I can do it by myself, but like taking care of other people and other bikes and like getting everybody moving and grooving, that takes a lot more. Yeah, it takes a lot more work than people realize.
Of course.
People think it's all fun and games, but like you got to be ready for anything.
Absolutely, it's not easy. Like nowadays, there's a lot of people. Like we can see them on YouTube, on social media. A lot of solo riders, right? And we see thousands of beautiful videos of great experience, etc. But only a few of them actually show how many troubles are in there. Like
how terrible it can be.
the bike breaking in the middle of nowhere, or your clothes breaking down. You don't have space for clothes, or for you don't have space for spare parts. So it is a job when you're running tours and you want everything to go smooth. You have to be prepared for any kind of situation, like no more fuel and the next gas station is in 50 kilometers. What are you going to do?
And die out there.
Plus, it's even more difficult when you're on a group, because if you're alone, you're just, the inconvenience is your own alone. But if you're a group and then one of the guys has a problem, the bike doesn't work, or it breaks down or something, the whole group has to stop, which of course, anything could happen, and it's understandable. But you're on a pleasure trip or an adventure trip, and then you don't want to be stuck for hours out of nowhere for something that is not even your problem, right? So fixing all those issues require a lot of preparation, a lot of background work. With Extreme in Sri Lanka, we have a great team. We have Ruan, who is the mechanic. We have Malit, who is our fixer, is our local expert. Anywhere we go, he's the one that finds the places, finds the contacts. And it's great to have a team.
Guys on the team.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know what you mean. It takes a lot of work. It does take a lot of work. Yeah. Sorry. So we're saying, so then you decided to go to Georgia and start your own touring company, and but it was just in the middle of the pandemic, so obviously.
We're just coming out of it, but a lot of people are interested in coming here. I've got a couple tours booked. I had a couple guys come last year. Even just one guy came, and I'm not doing anything else besides running tours. So even when one person's like, "Hey, I want to go on tour," I'm like, "All right, let's do it." Like,
let's go. Yeah.
Yeah.
How did the COVID hit Georgia when you were there? Like, how was the situation over there?
I mean, everything was locked down. I mean, if you had a private vehicle, you could go out and drive around, but there were like no taxis. There were no public transportation. So basically, even though it was like COVID time, I could, like, the roads were wide open. I mean, it was like there was nobody here. And I was still like calling ahead of time and finding like homestays to stay at, because I saw it as an opportunity. I had a year, nobody else was doing tours. And I thought to myself, man, while everybody else is just sitting around doing nothing, I'm gonna really go out there and explore as much as
and learn,
I possibly can. So I put 5 years of riding in, and half a season.
That's a good way to look at it. Like, I mean, while the rest of the world stops and stays still, you still find something to do, like learn and explore. And it's something I did with Rev and Travel. We were on hold. I was running a small marketing agency, and I lost all of my clients because most of them were into tourism, and Sri Lanka completely blocked everything. Right. So, and Extreme Bike Tours was on hold. So I thought, okay, I have to figure out something that is less client dependent, saying like something that it's my own. And then, I'm the internet guy, I'm the marketing guy. So I thought, like, I love motorcycle touring, so I'm going to start something out of it. And then I decided to start Travel, which is,
it's very cool.
It doesn't yet have like its own shape, to be honest, because there's a mix of magazine style, a mix of community magazine, etc. Right. But I'm sure in time it will take his own shape.
Yeah, it'll yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
people need more of that, because a lot of people are still saving up money for their tour. I mean, Corona's affected a lot of people, so keeping everyone still interested in traveling and riding is super important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because a lot of people have nothing to do but research their next trip. Like, I was looking on your site, like the 60 best routes, and I was reminiscing. I was like, oh, the Transalpina, the Dragon, the Stelvio Pass, the North Coast 500. I was like, man, and I've done all those, and I'm like, man, I want to do it again.
I got a list of other 30 routes to add there, because once I published that article, and I started to share it on Facebook groups between friends, etc. Then a lot of the readers, they were coming back and saying like, hey, you missed this one, you missed this one.
Yeah.
There is the Mustang in Nepal. There is the Pakistan one. They gave it to me. Karakoram is included. Yeah, but for example, which is incredible, I forgot to put it there. We missed a few of the North Indian routes, all the Ladakh,
Ladakh,
Shimla. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which is crazy, because it's one of Extreme Bike Tours itineraries, and I forgot about it. But there's been a lot of work behind that article, to be honest. I didn't work on it alone. I had like a team of 4 or 5 freelancers helping me out in researching, finding information, and put it together.
It's very cool. I saw like some of them, you have like an actual map with like kind of in that general area of where to go. Yeah. That's like super important, I think,
Yeah, because it's not easy to find. So I didn't write those. I've been in other routes which I didn't even mention, like in Sri Lanka, but they're gonna be there. Mm-hmm. So I don't have pictures, and I didn't even have the time to start to look for people that did that route. A lot of people don't want to share their own content as well, because they want to keep it on their own website or their own channel for monetization purpose, which is fair. But you can't even find copyright-free images easily. So
Right.
where I could have found images, I asked other content creators like on Instagram or on YouTube. And where I couldn't, what I did, I just went on Google Maps and figure out the route based on
Yeah.
information, and then screenshot it.
Screenshot it. Yeah, yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
It works.
That's what
So,
we did. We are missing something from Georgia, though. We are missing.
oh man, I got so many routes over here. Depending on like the rider's level of skill. I mean, there's so many incredible itineraries like here. You know, like once you get out of the city, this place is pretty wild. And the roads are still like so empty outside of like the big cities. I mean, you might ride 100 kilometers and see like 2 or 3 cars sometimes because like nobody goes back there.
All right,
Like
it's a little bit like Mongolia.
Yeah. I mean, you'll see more like animals and stuff than you will people. You know.
All right, but how? So I assume that it's more like off road. It's gravel roads or.
There is a lot of that. But like on my tours, depending on the rider's abilities, there's I mean, I try to always to stay off highways, but
Yeah, of course.
but like the little back roads in good shape. I mean, it's the roads here are way better than like Nepal or India.
All right. So,
but there are a lot of gravel options depending on how crazy somebody wants to get with it, you know.
so but in general, you say like it's not really super challenging as when riding in Georgia, unless you choose the challenging roads.
If you want it to be challenging, then yes.
You can, yeah.
And I can do as easy or as hard. Like I could challenge even like a professional up here.
But what I mean is like
if
if you go in countries like Nepal or anywhere, the areas that we were talking about, like high Himalayas, we know the roads are crap there and you can't do anything about it. Those are the roads. It's not that you have another option or a nice paved highway or something like that. So that's it. It's a challenging trip. If you go to the northern Himalaya or if you go to Mongolia, you're off-road, you have to cross rivers and you don't have options. But in Georgia, at least you have a mix. You do have better roads and you also can choose the most challenging one, which is nice. Which is nice. Yeah.
Because like not everybody can do crazy wild
of course
stuff, you know, and you know.
No, of course. So personally, I'm a slow rider, so like if you ask Ben and John, they will make fun of me because I get lost all the time. Like these guys race, I'm going slow. I'm enjoying my ride, you know.
Right.
The last time the support vehicle had to come and pick me up because I couldn't find the road. Like I did find the road, but I was so behind that they decided to send the support vehicle and.
Oh.
The whole group arrived to the hotel where we were meeting, where we were staying, like 3 hours or 4 hours in advance. And the worst thing is that the hotel, there was no restaurant or anything. It was like a B&B or something like that. And we had all the booze in the car. So when I arrived there, everyone was pissed off because we had all the booze and they were there waiting 3 hours.
Yeah. They're ready to drink. Yeah.
It's not my fault. These guys are racing. Like I can't keep up. I'm a slow rider.
Oh man.
Not that much, but yes, some people like that kind of challenging trip. Some others prefer like enjoying a little bit more.
Right.
The soft payment.
A lot of different types of riders, you know.
Of course.
And I'm cool with like the slower I go, the more I get to see, the more pictures I get to take. So, there's times when I like to take it easy too.
How is with the rules police there?
About 10 years ago, everything was pretty corrupt here. But the guy came in and they fired everybody on everywhere. And now the police, they would never ask for a bribe here.
Very strange.
They're like yeah, they'll help you out wherever, which is pretty amazing because like there's a lot of places on this side of the world that like are pretty shady. But the policemen here are like super respectful, super nice. I looked at a cop the other day, and I have a pretty high truck. I couldn't see a traffic light. And I was like, is this a traffic light? I just ran it right in front of him. And he pulled me over. He's like, what are you doing? And I was just like, I didn't know it was a light. And of course, all he spoke was Georgian. He didn't know what I was saying. I just showed him my passport. Didn't even give him my driving license or anything. And he gave me like a 20 lari ticket, which is about, I don't know, $6.
All right.
For running a red light. Yeah,
that's probably another thing, right? That's probably another thing, like the fact that if they don't speak your language, they don't speak English, they're probably also like they give up even before starting to explain you what's going on, I guess.
Yeah. They just handed me a little piece of paper, and I'm like I didn't run it on purpose, guys. I didn't know, But but the cops here are really respectful. Like I've gotten lost and a few times, and I've asked them for help, and some of the younger ones that do speak English, because like the older people here all speak Georgian or Russian. The younger generation all speak English, Georgian, and Russian. So like a lot of the homestays you stay at, the kids are the ones like talking to you, because the older generation, they were never taught English.
I can imagine. So,
but there's always ways to communicate with these guys. I mean, they love drinking wine and, talking, and it's a really sweet and welcoming country.
Cool.
I've like, even when you go way out in the middle of the villages, like I'm like, hey, can I take your picture? Or like, or they'll come out with wine or whatever. I mean, 8 out of 10 times, if you see a local guy, like they want you to stop your tour, and they want you to do barbecue with them and drink wine with them all night long. Like I'm like, guys, we can't stay here. Like these guys
working.
Yeah. I was like we gotta get to plan B, and they're like, let's just stay a while. I was like, once we proceed, they're not gonna let us leave. So they're all down for a good time.
It sounds like a little bit like when you go in Southern Italy, like anywhere you go, especially like in the Naples area, anywhere you go, they will invite you for a coffee. Or if you go to eat at someone's place, they will give you so much food. They're all, all the moms and the grandmas and aunts. You have to eat. So you can't live without having food, coffees.
Yeah, same in India. I mean, you can't pull over without getting offered chai,
True.
Like, and then they want to feed you, like.
That's very similar to Sri Lanka as well. Yeah. That is cool. That is cool. But yes, of course, if you're working and you're running a tour, you can't just change the plans
can't get drunk with the locals and and waste a day, just getting all wasted.
No, but that's cool. That's cool. So what do you think? Like I was thinking, like, what are the top, besides riding and in Georgia, what are the top things to see, to do? Like for example, in Mongolia, it's nice also going fishing, for example. It's very particular for people that love fishing. Obviously, Sri Lanka, you have all the sport activities like surfing, scuba diving, kite surfing, that kind of stuff. And what about Georgia? What are the best things that?
Man, the hiking here is phenomenal, and that's something that I need to check out, because a lot of the routes that we do will go right up until you can't ride anymore, and then there's the hiking trail, and then it goes straight up. And I wish I had like a little electric bike or whatever, so I could like cheat or whatever. But the hiking here is phenomenal. In the wintertime, they have 2 big, beautiful ski resorts that are like super cheap and really well put together. I just came back from skiing a couple weeks ago. I was teaching teaching my girlfriend here and a bunch of my buddies that have never skied before, and they're like, Paddy, you don't know how to ski. I'm like, dude, I'm a great skier, man.
How about at the schools? I guess instructors. I never skied, and this is one of my thing on the bucket list. I'd love to learn skiing and snowboarding.
When you get up there, there's tons of guys, and for like super cheap, for like, I think for a day pass and like ski rentals, you'll spend like less than $40.
All right.
And that's for the whole day skiing, ski rentals, everything. And then for an instructor, you give this guy like $20 or whatever, and he'll hang out with you for like an hour or two and teach you all the, you know.
How far is it from where you're staying?
I can get there in less than 3 hours. There's one directly north, near Kazbegi, and then there's one west of Tbilisi. That's about 2.5, 3 hours as well. And it's a beautiful drive. So, I mean, I just take everybody in my support vehicle up there.
It sounds like you just planned my trip when I'm coming over there. So
come on over, dude. Bike,
we ride over there. We do a couple of days learning skiing, and then we ride back.
Yeah, it
sounds like a plan.
It's pretty cool. And they have like paragliding up there too.
Cool.
And paragliding up in Mestia and Omalo. And a lot of times they'll do like some horse tours, like where we go and ride the motorcycles up in the higher elevations. Once you get up there, like for instance, on one of our free days, I'll get a little horse ride organized, and we'll go up to the lakes where you might be able to get a 250 up there if you're a crazy person, but it beats you up. It'd be extremely difficult to get up there, even on a little 250, you know?
All right.
So yeah, a lot of horse, and then there's a big river rafting here. There's a lot of big, beautiful rivers here, and you can do kayaking and river rafting in the summertime. I mean, Batumi, it's beachy or whatever, and there's not good surf here. You know, I wish. But
yeah, but the sea, that sea is not really a surfing.
Yeah, it's all big. It's crazy.
It's like a lake, right? It's like a huge lake.
They got these big pebbles there. I mean, in the summertime, it's beautiful, but like the beaches aren't sand. They're like little marbles.
Yeah, it's marbles. Yeah.
Yeah, it's unusual. I mean, it's still pretty. It's just different, you know.
Of course. How about nightlife? How's nightlife over there?
Well, you know, Tbilisi, I'm not like a clubbing person or whatever, but like Tbilisi's pretty famous for like their raves and their underground dance thing. And I haven't really checked that out because it's not really my cup of tea, but there are like really good fun bars in this town. I mean, like, bars don't close till 4 o'clock in the morning here.
Yeah, that's more where I was going on, because not about clubbing and stuff, but more like, you know, sports bars, but places where you can spend the evening, good restaurants. I mean,
this is the birthplace of wine. People drink more here than anywhere I've ever been to before. And the alcohol's pretty cheap. I mean, they're giving it away. You know?
Haven't been to Sri Lanka then? Have you been to Sri Lanka?
No, I haven't. I got pretty close though. I went to the end of the that thing in India, and I was like, oh man, Sri Lanka's right there, and I can't get there.
Well, you have to put it on your bucket list, and then once you're there, then we'll see if you still think that they drink so much.
Yeah, but the nightlife is good here in the cities like Kutaisi and Tbilisi. But everyone's always up for a good time, a barbecue and drinking and whatever, and you know. But that's past after 12. I turn into a pumpkin, you know, because I like to wake up and start working on the bikes and checking everything on most of the tours or whatever. Because like for me, like these guys can get as whatever as possible, but like if anything was to happen weird, I got to be ready to get in the vehicle.
Of course,
you know what I mean. So I always try to be a good boy. You know?
Yeah, but generally, you know, it's like, especially because it's Tbilisi, where I guess most of the tours start, and where there's the main airport, right? So again, it's more because people maybe like when they start a tour, at the end of the tour, they still spend a couple of days or 2-3 days in the area, and
Yeah,
they are not riding anymore. So
yeah, it'd be a shame if they didn't. I mean, there's a lot of, I mean, the architecture here, you have like the old with the new. I mean, there's some real jewels just around the city. Just walking around, like most of the groups that come over here after the tours, they're like, "Hey, what do you recommend for the next couple of days?" And if I don't have anything going on, I'm always just like, "All right, just meet me here at 9 o'clock tomorrow. I'm gonna show you everything in the area and bring your camera." You know, so that's kind of part. That's like unspoken, but that's kind of part of my trips as well. You know, because I want them to see Tbilisi and have a good time, but experience like the country as a whole, and then come back and relax, and then then I can have a couple beers and not worry.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So.
Sounds like as it should be, right? Like
yeah,
you did your ride, you did your tour, you did your job. Now you can relax.
Party. Yeah. For me.
Now you can get an hangover. The guests are leaving, so you're free. You're off the hook.
Yeah, but I like to send them off, you know, tired and you know, I want them. The tours that we do here are. I try to pack as much in as possible, but if people are like super chill, you know, there's things that I can leave out or whatever. It just depends on how much, because a lot of times people come on these tours and they're pumped. They're like, let's do as much as we humanly possibly can. And I'm right there with them. I'm like, all right, you know, like you better finish your meal. We got some stuff to see, you know.
How many hours do you ride on average on a tour? Per day, yeah?
I'd like to do about 400 kilometers a day.
And how many hours?
I'd say no more than I'd say about 4 or 5.
4 or 5 hours. Wow, it's not
200 kilometers. 200 kilometers a day. Did I say 400? No, okay. That's what I'm used to riding easily. But yeah, 200 kilometers a day on decent roads, lots of stops, lots of photo shots. I mean, there's a lot of hidden gems here that like even the locals don't know about, you know.
I can't imagine.
But like when I was stuck in Nepal for that year, like I literally would just spend like 10 hours a day looking at maps and like researching, and I just had books and books and books of notes written down of like everything. And I was like, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna focus 100% of my attention on learning the language, learning the cultures, the customs, the roads. And like, so I had like 100 days to prepare before I even got here. And then when I got here, I had a year to just follow up on all the craziness that I'd written down.
On the field.
Yeah, in the field. So a lot of preparation went into figuring it all out and finding the best routes and seeing what worked. And I love doing it. Like the routes that I do will constantly change, you know, like I'm constantly trying to make it like better, you know, like what else can we see? Like, where else can we go? Like, what about this road? You know, like, so I don't know.
And you never know, because sometimes you go on a road this year and it's perfect. And the next year, maybe some heavy rain came and washed it off. So perhaps you want to change it. So every year, even that changes, right?
Well, I mean, that's when having like certain people in the area, because I'm friends with a lot of people in the area, and even before we go on tours, I'm like, hey, like, can we cross this river, or you know, like how muddy is it, you know, like, but like their muddy, you know, some people's, hey, yeah, you can do it on a motorcycle. Most of the time, people will always tell you, oh, you can do it on a motorcycle. And then you get there and it's 3 feet of mud.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I'm not sure if I will be able to do that. Well, and what about, this is another interesting thing. When you visit a country, you also, one of the main point is the food. How is the food there?
Oh my God. If people come here to Georgia, they're definitely going to pack on some weight.
Really?
Oh my God. It's insane. They got these things. They love their bread here. They love their
Right.
bread. They love their barbecue here. They love their toasts. Like every time we go and there's a big gathering, there's a guy called a tamada, and he is the guy that gives all the toasts. And you start with family, and then you say for this, and you say for that. At the end of at the end of the at the end of the dinner, like you might have toasted 50 times, 40 times. And they drink this stuff here called cha-cha, which is like their moonshine.
All
Uh,
right.
oh man, that stuff is dangerous. But like the spread here, like depending on what region you go to, like everybody has their own way of doing like their bread and cheese. And like I mean, they got it's insane. There's so much food here. Like you'll never go hungry. Like for instance, like in India, you get a lot of dal bhat, right? And it's dal bhat, dal bhat, dal bhat, dal bhat. Or Nepal or whatever. But like here, depending on where you go, there are like Georgian staples. Uh, but there, it's so different. And there's a lot of seasonal dishes as well.
What kind of what do they like? The barbecue? What do they grill usually? What kind of meat?
Well, they'll do like chicken and lamb and beef on the big crazy like kebabs or what skewers or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, skewers,
Uh,
like yeah,
and
Brazilian style.
yeah, Brazilians. I mean, it's so much food. They got like they uh, they do like a nice cucumber salad with the tomatoes and the walnut sauce, and they have this like chicken that they boil in like this kind of like milk stuff. I I could try to say it, but I would totally schmeckruli or whatever. I'm still learning Georgian, and I mess up all the different
The
sayings.
names.
Yeah, because they have all sorts of khs and has
Yeah, I can imagine.
yeah, and I'm like I could live here the rest of my life and never figure out how to order this correctly. Uh, but yeah, the food here is incredible.
And the accommodation, when I mean, I assume that in Tbilisi there are probably like also a lot of like higher standards hotels. But when you move out of Tbilisi, how is it? What kind of accommodation do you find?
Oh, it's good. There's internet in every place. Slow internet. Like when we go way up into the mountains in like Tusheti or Mestia, like sometimes I'll stay at like a nice guest house or whatever because like the home cooking's amazing, and like it might be in a kind of outside, away from the hustle and bustle, like a special place. Um, but then sometimes we'll stay at like a more decent hotel. Like when we go to Kutaisi, Kutaisi is a really fun city with lots of stuff going on. So I stay right in the center of that in a nice hotel that overlooks the entire city, that has a bar on top of the hotel. So we can have our beers and see everything, like I always like to try to get to the highest point somewhere and be able to point out, hey, that's that and that's that, and then go down and explore.
So you basically pick a mix between a local family-run small businesses and more comfortable hotels where you have a little bit more of
For sure, because I want them to like,
standards, higher standards.
I want them to like feel Georgia. And like it's not just me, like I got a couple guys on the crew that are all Georgians that speak English, and they're I mean, I couldn't do it without my dudes. You know what I mean? Like uh
Of
I can work
course.
on the bikes, I can take pictures, I do drone shots, and like I know where to go and how to navigate, and I can speak some of the language, but to like really like feel Georgia, I think it's important to be around some well educated uh, locals, like guys that know their country and what's what and history. Not everybody knows that stuff here.
Of
Uh,
course.
it takes a it definitely takes a special person to 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 be on point all the time, you know, to know, oh yeah, such and such, and knows all the answers to all sorts of crazy questions. And I learn from these guys every day. You know what I mean? They're telling me something new every day. I'm like, well, I read, and they're like, that's not true. This is what we believe. And this is how it is. And I'm like, wow, I had no clue.
Nice. So, well, we're getting close to the hour now. And, well, you said then your tours are, you don't mind how many people, do you schedule them, the tours, or do you do only custom tours? How does it work?
Well, I mean, every once in a while, like if somebody comes here and I don't have like tours going on, I'll rent out a bike so they can do their own thing and I'll tell them where to go. But for the most part, I try to keep tours between like no more than like 8 riders because these places are small and like I want the tours to be somewhat intimate. You know what I mean? I want everybody to get along and to really like, I don't want to just be waiting for somebody all the time. You know what I mean? I want to keep the ball rolling. And I think any more than 8 people kind of, unless they're like all really good friends or whatever, it kind of like it's just too crazy. You know, I want it to be.
Yeah, of course. As a friend of mine says, if it's too many riders, then it becomes a gathering. It's not anymore a tour. It's you know, it's
like a riot.
Yeah, exactly. and it's difficult to manage. Everyone has different tastes. Someone wants to stop, and then you if you have to stop every time someone needs to go to the toilet, you never ride.
Yeah. Then you need like, you know, any more than 8 people, and you need like a lot more riders, you know, because essentially you got to break it up into 2 groups, right? So
that's not a bad idea, actually.
Well, I mean, I've done it before. You got the fast guys and the slow guys. You know what I mean? Like, the guys that want to do drones and pictures, and then the lunatics that just want to like rip and grip. You know.
So and how you figure out who goes in which group? Do you make them race the first day? Like, okay, let's check who's the fastest, right?
You know, I mean, right away, you know who's like, you know, hot and wants to like guys that want to push the limits. You know what I mean? I'm like, all right, well, and I want to give that to them. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you want to get crazy? Let's go crazy, man. You know?
That's it. So do you have any scheduled tours in the near future?
Yeah, I got a couple guys coming. I think I have a group of 7 in July, and I have a few friends coming from the States bringing their friends. How
many days are on average your tours?
You know, if people are coming from other countries, I think what works best for them is a 7-day tour. All right. Because a lot of people only have X amount of days off, and they might have, like, let's say 2 weeks off normally. So they need a couple days to get here. They want 7 days on tour, and then they want a couple days to relax and then get back to work or whatever. So I think for me, I think that 7 is the lucky number. Those people that do have more days off, and they want a slower tour and a little bit more chill, I always suggest like a 10-day tour. But like, that's a lot of riding. That is a big adventure for somebody that hasn't like been on, you know, maybe, hey, I rode my bike to my buddy's place yesterday, you know, but like 10 days on a bike, like your butt's going to be sore.
I went to the store to buy a can of beer with my bike, like 500 meters away or something. And then all of a sudden you're riding like for like thousands of kilometers.
It's a lot of, that's why it's important to do breaks and everything and be chill. But yeah, I mean, I have some stuff, of course, like, you know, directly after Corona, this crazy war thing's happening. And I don't know if people feel guilty about traveling when something like this is going on, but like Georgia's very safe. And And the people here are, well, we have a lot of Ukrainians and Russians like fleeing to come here, and everybody gets along here, you know, like there's a lot of support for Ukraine here. And
as the rest of the world, like I've been
right?
hearing, like I've been here, all the Ukrainians and Russians stuck in Sri Lanka, but they get along. Like you
Yeah,
don't
yeah, yeah.
see them having any issue. This is like literally a complete political and
Yeah. There's people in
you know,
politics. So
yeah.
I hope that doesn't put a damper or doesn't frighten people away from traveling. I mean, we've all been stuck in our homes for almost 2 years now because of this coronavirus.
We all hope the same, actually.
Yeah, I mean, dude, like, oh man, I'm ready. I'm ready to ride. We've waited long enough, you know. Like,
yeah.
So
yeah, for us too. Also this year, like for me personally, my holiday is gonna be in Greece, so it's not gonna be any riding. You know, I have a daughter which is reaching her first year in a couple of weeks.
Oh, nice, dude! Congrats.
Thanks.
That's awesome, dude.
So not much riding, and plus I still need to buy a new bike from when I moved here to Switzerland. So, but after that, I'm hoping to do some riding as well. Here, I hear that there is a lot of nice routes around here, like in Switzerland, in Italy, in North Italy. We are just close to the Italian border, so a lot of options.
Yeah. That's beautiful riding up there.
Yeah.
I've been all over there. I was totally blown away. I love scenery, but I couldn't stay there long. It was too pricey for me.
Oh yeah, tell me about it. I moved from Sri Lanka where I was paying $300 a month for rent, and then here I'm spending like more than 1,500 a month, and I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
But everything is super expensive. Like even a coffee is like, Jesus Christ. But what to do?
What to do?
We need to survive one way or the other. Yeah.
Well, I sure hope that people get back on bikes and start traveling around again, and whether it's Sri Lanka, here, Mongolia, wherever, man. I want to see people coming out again and going on those adventures. You know, I want to see people on Horizons Unlimited, like, hey, I'm here, I'm going here. You know, like it's just been like 2 years of, you know, I rode around the neighborhood or whatever. So, but
no, I agree, and not just, and on a side note, not just for them to explore new countries, but also. To be honest, these are the countries that have been more affected by the pandemic, because we like countries like Sri Lanka, Nepal, India, without tourism, they lost a lot of jobs. A lot of people are you know, suffering, and they can only you know, they can only earn from having tourism and riders going and exploring. So it's
what a crazy world. Who would imagine this would have happened? You know,
no one could have imagined that. Like, it's crazy, and now with this Ukraine and Russian thing, we still don't know what's going to happen. But on the other hand, I've been thinking, like I've been talking with friends and thinking, you know what, we just have to keep going. Otherwise, we lock ourselves another couple of years, and for what? We lost 4 years of our lives for nothing. So,
yeah, right. Wild, huh?
Yeah, it is. It's been crazy. It's been really crazy. It's very interesting. I'm wondering, like, in you know, 50, 60 years, what would they say about these years? Like, what would they write in history?
Yeah. It'll be interesting looking back at it in 5 or 10 years. Like, man, that was nuts. For like 1,000 days, we couldn't do anything, you know. But what's even crazier is, I mean, all my friends think I'm nuts. Like in the middle of this thing, I'm like, I'm going to start my own business. Like, and they're like, that's probably not a good idea. And I'm like, whatever, man. So,
well, I'm telling you, when all when the pandemic started, I was in Sri Lanka, and Sri Lanka lockdown was pretty severe, right? And I remember it was just like before that, I was working as a freelancer. And that's when I decided actually to open up my small agency and do things a little bit more professional, more on a serious level. and I wrote my first article. I built my website. I wrote my first article saying that I was taking it as an opportunity, and then everything went to crap, you know.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, you know, you try. I mean, it's worth trying. You can't just give up because some shit that is not under your control is going on. You know, we can't control this shit. So
rather give it a shot and see what happens than spend the rest of your life wondering what would have happened if you did it. You know, like
I totally agree.
You know, the trip that somebody wanted, that they thought about their entire life and never took. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't want to be that guy.
Absolutely. Me neither. We all want to live with no regrets, right?
Yeah, so, no regrets.
Yeah. All right, man. It was a great chat. It was great chatting with you. Perhaps we can do it again and talk more about Georgia or some of your rides. I'm happy to start to do this sort of interviews, podcasts for the website,
hey,
etc.
We got to get you over here. You're not so far away, man. Let me know.
No, I was checking. I told you I was checking already. When we had the last chat, I was already checking the flight tickets.
Dude, it's wide open, man. Come on down whenever. We got a ton of bikes, and even if I got a tour going, whatever, you know, like
I will keep in touch, obviously, and I will let you know, because now we got the holiday coming up, but then after that, the calendar seems to be a little bit free. It's just a matter of you know, because we have a daughter, and my wife works as well. Okay. So I can't leave for too many days. Sorry?
Yeah, you need a babysitter for a week.
Man, I'm one of those dads that would never leave the kid with the baby. Yeah. I always want to keep the kid with me or with the mom.
Yeah. Well, they do that in India. You could just get her a little pouch, and we can, you know.
Yeah, bring him with me. We could try that. I'm not sure my wife would be happy about that. But
you could easily get away with it here in Georgia. Nobody'd say nothing.
We'll see, man. We'll see. All right, Dad. Thank you for the interview.
Yeah,
Paddy,
man.
right? Paddy, right? Patrick
Paddy.
is your name, but Paddy is your nickname.
Yeah.
Sounds great. Have a good day, Paddy.
All right, you too, man. We'll talk soon.
Cheers. Bye.
Cheers, man.